If you can imagine this calm and tranquil, beautiful space, once had silent footsteps of heroes passing by it in the dead of night. You're in Plouha, France, and today we're going to explore a very little known story of World War II and a resistance network that was based right here in Plouha, France. It's called the Shelburn Network. And today we're going to take a 3-kilometer or about 2-mile loop to explore the history, the bravery, the courage, and the resilience of the people who saved over 135 lives in just 8 missions. During the dark days of World War II, a remarkable story of courage and resistance unfolded. Join me today as we trace the steps of the brave men and women who formed the Shelburn Network, a group that orchestrated one of the most daring rescue operations during World War II. Our journey begins here at Chapel St. Sampson, just outside of Plouha. It's a modest 3-kilometer loop, which is about 2 miles, but the footsteps we follow echo with the bravery of everyone who risked their freedom. This trail commemorates the resistance fighters who, under the cover of night, led 135 Allied airmen to safety right under the noses of the occupying forces. In 1944, amidst the darkness of war, the Shelburn Network emerged as a beacon of hope. Led by 2 Canadian secret agents, Lucien Dumais, who was 38 years old, and Raymond Labrosse, 18. This clandestine operation defied the Nazis and who occupied this area and rescued Allied airmen and agents. Their mission was clear yet very perilous. It was to recover downed airmen and facilitate their escape by sea. This is all that's left of Maison Alphonse, just a sign that says that it once existed here. As we leave the street and moving away from the memorial plaque where Alphonse's house once was, it was bombed during the war by the Germans. And we head to Bonaparte Beach. We tread right now on the path where heroes once marched silently, risking their lives to thwart tyranny. This trail forms a loop. Here, 75 years ago, resistance members marched silently, guiding the airmen to the shores where escape awaited them. This resistance network was called Shelburn, and they orchestrated 8 missions. And from what I understand from my research, they might have even accomplished this all in a matter of a few months. Not every report shares that, but I did come across one that said it was all done in 8 months. Now, there's also been a series of numbers, but it would seem that the most average number of lives saved was 135 airmen. But they had to do this all in the middle of the night. There was no moon, and I'm going to show you what's even more crazy, complicated, is the tides. Here in Plouha, men, ordinary men and women, became absolutely extraordinary. The village risked their entire lives, their families, everything, to save these soldiers and the people that participated in the mission. You see, the airmen were shot down all over France and Belgium by the Germans, and they were first transported to Paris, and then they were transferred to Saint-Brieuc. All of this was done by train, but really, if you think about it, the enormity of just that was so complicated. You have to remember that these Allied airmen, they were shot down and they couldn't use their papers, of course. So the expense, the extraordinary expense, not just of the lives of people who were risking to save them, but the costs to do so were enormous. From getting the black market papers, food, clothes, everything was on restriction. Everything was incredibly expensive. All of the clothes, all of the food, everything they did to save each of these Allied airmen had to be done on the black market. And then, of course, just risking everybody's lives involved to even get them out here to Brittany. After that, then they had to be transported here to Plouha. I know we're getting close to the ocean because I can feel it. I can feel the wind is changing and it smells different. I'm also really excited to share with you part of this story. Two very famous people were saved because of these missions, but you gotta wait to find out who in just a little bit. Families in Plouha and the surrounding area opened their homes to these brave souls, harboring them until the cover of darkness provided a chance for escape. Let's go back real quick to the second place that we visited, which was the original site of Alphonse's house. Now, there's a reason why that spot was so important. Not only did the resistance hide airmen there, but two Plouhatians were responsible for listening every evening to the BBC News. When Radio London broadcasted, "Hello, everyone at Alphonse's house," that's what it said. But in French, "Bonjour tout le monde, à la maison d'Alphonse." Hello, everyone. Go to Alphonse's house. That was a signal to move. Now we're doing this during the middle of the day, and this is now a well-established trail, but as you can imagine, it was nothing like this. And they had to move from Alphonse's house along this tiny trail on moonless nights with no lamps. And you can't forget, this whole area was occupied by Germans and covered in landmines. Oh my God, look at the ocean. You see it? A wall of fresh ocean air is hitting me right now. It is just, it's so fresh, but the cliffs, they just go straight down. I can't imagine navigating this in the middle of the night. And the Germans were right up here on these cliffs as well, watching for boats coming in. So we're up here at the top and we have to get down there to the ocean. Can you see the breakers down there? There's a boat out there. Each operation was a meticulously orchestrated ballet of courage and cooperation. Among the many heroes was David Birkin, a Royal Navy navigator and father to Jane Birkin. And the second, well, it was Guy Hamilton, the future James Bond director. He also found temporary refuge here and was saved thanks to the villagers of Plouha. Apparently, Guy Hamilton, the James Bond director, was hidden in an attic, and he was up there for quite some time, like 3 or 4 weeks, and absolutely going insane. He was 24 years old, hiding out from the Germans, but apparently he spoke really great French. And so one of the villagers who was helping hide him decided to sneak him out. And they would play boule, which is a kind of a courtyard game, right in front of the Germans. And they had no idea. This is interesting how we're kind of moving into this forested part. But yeah, I knew it. It's gonna get really steep quick because we have to get down to the beach. What's incredible is that there were 8 successful operations without a single casualty, not a single one. Now, there was another resistance network near here, very close near here, called Oak Tree. And I've heard that they did not have so much success. It's a real testament to the bravery and the precision of the Shelburn network that all 135 lives were saved. As we walk this trail today, we remember not just, oh my God, it must have been just overwhelming fear and the risks that they face, but their unyielding commitment to freedom. We're almost to the beach. You come out of this trail system and find yourself all of a sudden onto a car park. As beautiful and flat and amazing as this beach is, it actually has another level of complications. And that is the fact that the tides here are some of the largest swings in all of Europe. And the tide comes all the way up to these rocks. So not only did the airmen have to do that trip in the middle of the night, they also had to do it when the tide was at its lowest. That tunnel and this ramp did not exist during these missions. So they had to scale down the sides of these cliffs in the middle of the night without any light. But once they got here, there was a special person waiting for them. So once they made it to this beach, they made it past the German posts on the cliffs, they made it past the landmines, they scaled the cliffs all the way down in the middle of a moonless night. They met a very special person here, a lady. Her name was Marie-Therese Calvez, and she had a very special role to play. Marie-Therese Calvez is considered a heroine in these parts. She had a very critical role in all of these missions. She signaled the airmen with a light. Blue was for safety. These boats were waiting off of these shores, and they needed to know where the Germans were at and if it was safe to come and pick up the airmen. Blue was for safety and red was for danger. The English used the Royal Navy's motor gun boats, or speedboats, to evacuate the Allied agents and aviators by sea from the beach. They also had a system, so just to make sure that the people that they were picking up were the official airmen, they had safety words, keywords. So the officer would say the first password, which was Dinon, and then the head of the operation on land had to respond Saint-Brieuc, and then they were let on board. As we stand here today commemorating their bravery, let us remember the sacrifices they made for the freedom that we cherish. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you like this video, please hit the button and also subscribe for more stories like this. Until next time, au revoir.